watching TVC Breakfast. Pandemonium broke around Ekoro area, Abule Egba, Lagos, as the pipeline belonging to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation exploded on Sunday evening.
The fire erupted after some vandals allegedly ruptured the pipeline in a bid to scoop fuel. We have details in this report.
One of the major challenges faced by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation over the years has been vandalism. The 19th of January 2020 was another setback. Affected residents of Abule Egba, Ekoro Road expressed their displeasure.
People used to do what? Bust pipeline. And that is not duty of Nigerian citizens.
And those people they put there, what are they really doing? We don't know. Because this thing has happened since so many years. It has been repeating itself.
Government should try to listen to and save the people. Nigerian government, I don't know what's happened to them. They are so careless about we, the citizens of this country. This is pipeline. This is pipeline. They have officials monitoring the pipeline. Why can't they do the right thing to do? That place is a valve. That place is a position where the people have a loophole to get into that pipe.
The effect, however, is immeasurable. Lives were lost. No fewer than 11 trucks and houses got burnt beyond recognition.
We discovered that a pipeline has been vandalized, and during this process, it leads to fire disaster. It has affected some buildings, it has affected some vehicles, especially articulated vehicles, because the area where the incident occurred is located not far from a mechanic shop, and again it has affected some structures and some building.
In 2019, the NNPC say there was a 77% rise in cases of oil vandalism in its network of pipeline infrastructure across the country in June. 106 pipeline points were breached. The Aba-Enugu axis in the System 2E pipeline corridor accounted for 25% of the pulverized points. Lagos axis had 23% of the compromised pipeline points. Ibadan to Ilorin accounted for 18%. Port Harcourt to Aba was responsible for 13% of the affected pipelines. Other areas across the country amount for the remaining 21%.
It's been a tough night for residents of the affected community. Lives have been lost and properties worth millions have been affected. They are now appealing to the government to come to their aid and ensure that the NNPC pipeline is well secure henceforth. Mian Akiri, TVC News, Lagos.
All right, our correspondent Mia Akiri is here now to talk to us more about this. Although reports have said that 3 persons have now been reported dead, and the fire has been put out. Talk to us, or paint us a vivid picture of what happened yesterday, because you were there.
Well, sadly, it's been the challenge of vandalism, and it wasn't far from it yesterday. You take a look at those in the Ekoro area. It happened at about 8 p.m. and at about 10:30, the fire was put out. But before then, lives were lost. Yes, as of yesterday, 2 lives were reported. But I know before we left there yesterday, no fewer than 4 persons, we had 4 dead bodies that were taken, to the hospital. Also, injured persons were also taken to the general hospital. At this stage, it's worrisome, looking at the horrific situation. I can imagine, the pictures of what happened yesterday being at the scene. A mother, while trying to save her child, lost her life, and then the child also died. Wow. And you also want to take a look at the fact that persons in that environment were lamenting. A lot of them were blaming the government. Yes, you want to take a look at the effects or the cause, why people go into vandalism. But beyond that, people of this environment are responsible for what happened.
Really?
They all said it yesterday. They know those who go there. And since you know what this could trigger, lives were lost, properties were lost, what millions of naira. I think to a large extent.
Did you ask them if they had the opportunity to report these persons, do something to stop these persons from this activity?
Well, according to them, they're of the opinion that there are always security men, at that point. But
who they expect should have done something.
Should have done something,
okay.
Or prevent all this. But is there some form of negotiation between, the persons there, the security personnel, and people who come there? That's one thing we need to, investigate at this point in time. But looking at what happened yesterday, it's not a good story. It's a sorry sight. It's something you really want to forget in a hurry. But the truth is, we must start looking for solutions, whereby vandalism can be stopped totally, if it is possible. What's a big challenge?
What kind of solutions? I know you're not you're not the authority to answer that kind of question, because last year this same thing happened around Yanokwaja Azabeson estate, and it happens in several other areas around that axis. At a point some years back, it also happened at Arikbo axis. So how do we go from here? What do you think this...
Well, from what, those in Ekoro area told me yesterday, truth be told, they said they've lost confidence, in the police one way or the other. And then they felt, bringing in military men, like the army, would indeed make them feel comfortable and a bit safe. Yeah. That's their own opinion. But by and large, I think a lot of education and awareness, should be given to those who live in these areas. That's one. And if lives in that areas, can also be improved to a large extent, it could curb, all this.
You say a lot of education has to be given to this
awareness.
Awareness and
that's
all of that. But
yes, enlighten them.
You earlier said that these people know and understand. They understand the problems of pipeline explosion, pipeline vandalism, implications. But beyond all of this, they know these things. Why will they still go in there and do that, no matter the kind of...
It could be difficult for me, to indeed put myself in their shoes and give the kind of lame excuses, they gave to me. Yes, some of them were like, poverty and all that. But would you want to take your life because of this? Because you pushed to the wall? Why go that far?
My concern now is the level of damage. We heard that 200 houses were burnt, and most of them were out there. Where did they say they were? What's next for them? What are they saying? Where do they intend to even go to?
Well, I left here at about past 12 in the early hours of this morning, and I must say that a lot of them never had the best of sleep. They were all outside. I'm sure they kept the vigil till this morning, and they will indeed be waiting, on the government probably to come address them, see how they can indeed get shelter at this point in time.
Did Lasema respond to that aspect on plans to know what to do with the people who lost their houses?
Well, they were there as of yesterday, and
to put the fire out.
To put the fire out, which was indeed the biggest task for them, to ensure that they contain, everything that was happening. So at that stage, they were not really thinking beyond controlling, the fire damage and all that. But let's see. Hopefully, since the fire has been put off, the next task, should be fixing the solution to all that has happened in the last few hours.
By today, the whole place should have been cordoned off.
Absolutely.
For a very long time before they can ascertain the livability or accessibility of the area for people. And
those at the hospital receiving treatment will get to know their state as well. But then we'll be bringing
bodies
details.
should be identified
and all of that.
That we should get numbers of affected lives and all of that by today.
Mia Akere, thank you so much for bringing us details.